Chuck Johnson, a man who's definitely putting the art back into martial arts. He's gone from being a teenage Michigan State champion in Taekwondo to one of Japan's most exciting action actors. Find out about his Asian odyssey. Also, meet Sam Gilbert, an Australian who migrated to Japan and who spent 6 hours a day, 6 days a week for 4 years preparing for one competition. Watch his big day and learn the true meaning of sacrifice. This is Chuck Johnson. He is taking fighting into a completely different direction. In this show, we're going to enter a world of martial arts where the emphasis is truly on the art. Chuck Johnson is an action actor who is an expert in East Asian style fight choreography. He has spent the last 7 years in Japan studying his craft. This is a film fighting style originally made super famous by Bruce Lee and later by Jackie Chan and Jet Li. Chuck's specialty, as you can see, is fantasy fight choreography. Chuck mainly uses Taekwondo, but also studies capoeira and Japanese-style theatrical swordplay. He even uses a bit of boxing and Wing Chun Kung Fu. But before Chuck was a cool stuntman in Japan, he was a kid in a small town in Michigan competing in Taekwondo competitions. Here, Chuck takes a rocking shot to the head. Keep your hands up, Chuck.
I came from a small town in Michigan, and when I was 15, I started Olympic Taekwondo training, and 2.5 years later, I got my black belt, and 6 days after that, I was a Michigan State Olympic champion for both sparring and forms. And, you know, from there, I had all these big dreams of going to the Olympics and whatnot, so I went to Korea to start training. And, you know, after 3 years of training in Korea, I came to learn that there's a difference between people who fight for a living and people who fight for a hobby. And I kind of realized that, you know, at heart, I didn't have that raw dog kind of like, kind of energy that it takes.
You didn't need to kill people.
Yeah, I didn't really need to kill people, you know what I mean? Like, I've got a really chill personality. I like martial arts for martial arts, you know what I mean? Like, it's not really about dominating people in the ring for me. But I did love being on stage, you know? I mean, like, I loved having the crowds, you know, and I loved the rush of it. I ended up winning the Intercollegiate Championships in Hong Kong. I won one national championship in the States, and then having that, you know, Asian background or whatever, I just thought, well, what the hell? You know, I've lived in Korea and I lived in China. Something told me to come to Japan. At heart, the thing I always really love has always been kind of the stage, and it's always been Taekwondo demonstrations. You know, like I love the jumping triple kicks, I love the, you know, double spin kicks and stuff like that. That was always really my passion. But anyway, as a function of that demo background, I ended up getting a small role in a Godzilla movie.
So you've been in a bunch of movies now, right?
I wouldn't say a bunch. I've been in a fair number, but usually really small parts, right? Just because there's not that many roles for brothers out here. You know what I mean? So I've been in a few. I was in the Geki Rangers movie, which is kind of like, you know, Geki Rangers is kind of like Power Rangers, right? And then my first one was Godzilla. Beyond that, I was in a film that Shimamura-san directed called Death Trance. So, yeah, I mean, I've done okay. I get a lot of work playing bodyguards on TV, which I guess is cool because that's what I used to do anyway. So kind of fits, right?
So art and reality are kind of one there.
Exactly.
So what are the differences, rather, between like action and real martial arts?
To be honest, it's a world apart. I mean, they're so different. And I didn't know that getting into it, right? Like I thought, you know, if you're good at martial arts, you're gonna be good at action, you know, but that's not necessarily the case. You know, being a strong fighter doesn't translate to being good on screen. I mean, that's another big difference is you can't move on camera the way you'd move to actually fight. In a real fight, you want your techniques to be as small as possible so that they don't telegraph, so that the other guy can't see them. You know, whereas on camera, you know, you want everybody to be able to see it. That's the point of it. You know, a regular hook might look like, this, whereas an action hook might look like this. You know, the other thing to keep in mind too is that you have to sweep across the viewing range of the lens, right? If I throw my hook and I throw it up here or down here, it's no good, right? It doesn't look good on camera. It has to go right across the front of the lens. And you have to remember things like that. For myself, that was the hardest part, is the reactions training. Because coming from a fighting background, you know, you're taught to hide reactions. It doesn't matter how hard you get hit, you're never supposed to show it. So boom, right?
One more time,
so
Chuck.
You know, and you have to add in, that's the other thing, is you have to act. You know, it's not just that you have to remember the choreography and, you know, you have to remember the sequence. You have to do the sequence in sync with the other action players. You have to act while you're doing it, because if it looks like you're trying to remember, if it looks like it's mechanical, it's not gonna sell. The worst situation I've been in out here is I got asked to do this fight with this, you know, Japanese karate champion or whatever, because I used to be a taekwondo champion myself, and I could tell I was being set up. You know, I don't even speak Japanese that well, but, you know, it was pretty obvious. I ended up stepping into the ring with 16-ounce gloves while my opponent was wearing 12-ounce gloves. You know, they told me to wear shin guards. I go into the ring, he's not wearing any. You know, I injured my hand 2 weeks before because I had to learn how to kickbox, you know, and I had to lose this weight at the same time. So I was going in there with an injured hand, dehydrated, starving, you know, just, it was rough, man. It was a brutal match. You know, it's probably the ugliest fight I've ever fought in my life. I wouldn't take that experience back for anything. I mean, not for anything, because it was that, I mean, that match taught me how to fight. You know, it really did. You know, and if it's one thing I learned, it's that being a fighter, you know, it's not about the matches that you know you can win. You know, it's about the ones that you know you probably can't. You know, and you just got to raise your fists and just get in the ring and just battle anyway, because that's what it's about. You know, I mean, you fight for that 1% chance that you can still get it. So ugly. I never even watched it, you know, on tape.
You have the tape?
I don't. I've never even seen it. Never even bothered to watch.
He's still bitter. Look at him. He's still bitter. Years later, the rage is still on.
But, you know what? I mean, the thing is, I think life fundamentally gives you a choice. You know, you can control or you can be controlled. You know, you can let your anger control you or you can control your anger. There's no way I could get a regular job at a regular school and then still keep doing my action training. So I just started stripping, you know. So I'd be up from, you know, I'd go into work at like 8 o'clock at night, be up until 6 o'clock the next morning just drinking and whatever else, because I was stripping and hosting. So just drinking
who were
with
your clients.
It was a combination of people.
Like who?
You put it like that, you know. I mean, we had.
You speak in these vague terms. We want to know who exactly. Who was buying the
that was yeah, that was interesting. You know, we had.
And how
we had women. We had some not women. We had some in between men and women. We had some guys that were there for the hostesses who just happened to come down and were just drunk and just didn't care. And I mean, yeah. Yeah. And you know, I'd get up on stage in my little black thong or whatnot and shake it as much as I had to and did whatever I had to do to get my tips, you know? So yeah, for 3 months, man, I would do that and then, you know, get home at 7 o'clock in the morning, usually drunk, you know, wake up, take some aminos, drink some water, go to action training, you know, and that was how I got by.
For all the bad experiences you've had in Japan, you've had a really good experience with your team, right?
Yeah. I mean, the guys I do action training with, they've been like my saving grace out here. I mean, really, they're the reason that I can still honestly say that I love Japan. You know, despite being set up in the kickboxing match and the tough man contest, you know, despite having to deal with you know, occasional racist incidents and you know, being singled out at times because I'm a foreigner. You know, like
Those get broke all the time.
yeah, and being broke a lot, you know, because I'm trying to follow this dream, right? But I mean, they've just been amazing. You know, when I started training with them, I didn't speak a word of Japanese. You know, I didn't know, I'd been in Japan about a year, but I still didn't know that much about Japanese culture. You know, I knew nothing about action as compared to real martial arts, you know, and they've just been so cool. You know what I mean? They've just been patient. You know, they've been helping me along and everything. So when I made my last demo reel, about 15 people came out to help. You know,
And they
like,
made that demo reel for free for you.
yeah, and they didn't charge. I mean, if I had to pay for that, it probably would have been, you know, around $8,000 or $9,000 at least. You know, just for the camera rentals and, you know, the equipment, the lighting people, the camera people, the stuntmen, the makeup people, the costume rentals, all of that. You know, it easily would have topped out $8,000 or $9,000. You know, and they all just came together to help me make it happen. You know, like I love them, I really do. You know?
Okay, that's because you're part of the group now.
Yeah, yeah. And the funny thing about it is that, you know, aside from Yashiki, you know, I've never spoken to any of them in my own language. So for me, it feels like they don't even know me that well because, I mean, they've never had a chance to talk to me in the language that I'm really, really expressive in. You know, they've only heard me talk to them in Japanese, and I've got the communicative abilities of about a 3-year-old, or, you know, maybe a 4-year-old in Japanese, right? So, but even so, it's like somehow, you know, they managed to key into my character. You know, they managed to find the person beyond the language.
I'm Robert Klein, and this is The Art of Fighting. This is Sam Gilbert. For the last 4 years, he's been training about 5 hours a day, 6 days a week for one competition, the World Shin-Kyokushinkai Karate Championship. Shin-Kyokushinkai is a full-contact karate style developed the last century by the legendary martial arts innovator Mas Oyama. Right now, we're watching his weight training. Sam moved to Japan 4 years ago just to prepare for this competition. He spent his first 10 months as a Liffen Uchideshi student training every day in the dojo. He then went on his own training pilgrimage at 3 different dojos 4 to 5 hours a day, 6 days a week for the last 3 years. Sam is very intimate with pain and sweat. Due to his hardcore lifting and running, he looks more like a crew rower than a karate champion. This is one long hill, and Sam will run it many, many times.
So it's a super heavy duty.
Not as super heavy duty as I should be.
It still hurts.
We're now at one of Sam's gyms that specializes in Gundam, which is a form of armored sparring. Here, Sam is doing a timed kick drill.
So it was 200 kicks.
In 106 seconds.
No, yes, no.
In minute
Yes,
46,
yes.
That's
Yeah.
106.
200 kicks in,
You ain't
106
taking that
seconds.
many headshots yet.
So that was my best time so far.
Sam's main mentor is this man Tsukamoto Sensei, who is kind of a half monk, half surfer boy, and a living legend in karate circles. He won the world tournament at only 21 and has won all the major tournaments in his form of karate. He has the most knockouts of any fighter. He is also the most unorthodox and creative of any fighter. And he is also a fanatical surfer, hence the beachwear of almost everyone in his dojo. These are some of the quick, unpredictable moves that make Tsukamoto a knockout artist. Sam is taking abuse to his stomach, various parts of his legs, and then back to stomach to prepare himself mentally and physically for the pain of competition. The moment of truth has come, and Sam holds the banner as the Australian champion and the team captain for the Australian team. People have come from all over the world to participate.
Against the world.
Who's worrying you?
No one at this stage. Only you with the fucking camera.
He trained hard. I was filming him training.
Train hard.
Yeah, he was brutal.
He deserves to do well.
Yeah, I agree.
He's been very dedicated for 20 years, so he's been fighting. Yeah,
So he's ready now.
yeah.
He's graduated.
He's graduated.
Sam's first fight is a lackluster win. Sam's second fight is even.
30 seconds!
While Sam looks like he's doing well, the judges insist that it's a draw and they must keep fighting.
Up top of the punch, go! Yes, 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 yes! Yes, Sam!
Sam is scoring what appears to be good shots, but cannot finish him off.
Need to rush from now! Now's the time you need to rush! Last 30! 30 second rush! Rush! Inside low kick, punch forward! 10 seconds! Last 10! Get the punch!
It is declared a draw again. The opponent hits Sam in the mouth with this upside-down Kyokushin kick and almost knocks him out. Sam clearly was not expecting it.
That's it! Inside! Inside again! Inside again!
The judges decide against Sam. After 2 overtimes, that one kick seemed to be the deciding factor. We talked to Sam about it a week later.
I guess it's only just starting to sink in that the tournament's over, and I didn't really get the result that I was expecting. I'd worked for it for 4 years, and really I thought this would be where I'd peak at 26.
Is all this worth it?
It's a big question, yeah. Is it all worth it?
All this pain and suffering, all this sweat, what makes you want it this badly?
That's something that I can't really put my finger on. I guess I've just got a passion for what I do, and
But you want to win.
I want to win.
Just train.
I want to win.
Sam takes a moment to pay his respects at the grave of the founder, Masoyama. Sam worked harder than probably 99% of the competitors, yet in the end, his hopes and dreams were a bit like the smoke of this incense. The Buddhists believe desire, hope, and dreams are just painful illusions. Are they right? I don't know. I'm your host, Robert Klein, and this is The Art of Fighting.